Welcome to another exciting webinar, Personal Branding to Attract Career Opportunities. And I think I did that webinar last year, early last year. And when I was trying to update the contents, it's amazing how rapidly, how quickly the things are changing. So I really have updated all the information for you. Even if you have attended last year's webinar, I think you will find many things new which are happening in the marketplace. So the first question is, who is this webinar for? Now you have already decided for yourself that you would gain some benefit and value from it. So if you are looking for a job, this is for you. If you are looking for an internal growth or promotion opportunity, this is for you. If you are stuck in your current position, you want to get out of it, this is for you. If you have to establish your expert positioning, this is for you. And if you want to just generally make a progress in your career, this is for you. So as a matter of fact, personal branding is applicable to everyone, especially in the professional field. So you are at the right place. But there are two conditions only to make benefit out of it. Number one, you should be willing to do a lot of hard work, and I'll explain you what you need to do to establish and promote your brand. So a lot of work, number one. Number two, it will take some time. Results would not be very quick, but you need to start now. That is why you are here. So we'll ensure that we get you on the right track to start working on it, and soon you will start seeing results. A little bit about the logistics. This would be approximately 90 minutes long webinar. There would be 4 parts. In the first part, I would explain you the changes which are happening in the talent market. And I call it a talent market, not a job market, because we are in the talent business. And then where are the opportunities? Because that is really the struggle and challenging area for many professionals. They can't see many opportunities coming their way, and it would be surprising what you will find. Then how to create a personal brand to really attract those opportunities. And finally, attracting career opportunities. So once you establish and position your brand, you would see that you are attracting, not chasing opportunities, but you are attracting opportunities. And we'll explain how this will happen. In the end, I will explain you about the CFO Coaching Club we have recently started from the Meca CFO Academy platform. And then we'll cover the question and answer session as much as possible during the given time. So grab a pen and notebook to make notes, remove distractions, and close down any other applications on your computer or laptop or devices, because that would consume a lot of bandwidth and you may not be able to hear me clearly if they are running unnecessarily in the background. Okay, I see many new people. So many of you are already familiar with me, but there are also a lot of new people. For them, a quick introduction. I spent my life as a CFO, working for top Fortune 500 and private equity companies, working in different regions from Asia Pacific, Europe, Middle East, and lastly in USA. And my branding has been in the later part of my career really around strategy and balance scorecard. That was my branding, which worked very successfully for me. I have been to Harvard Business School a couple of times. And this is what you see, Dr. Robert Kaplan, who is the founder of Balance Scorecard. I was lucky to really get some learning from him. And I also established last few years Middle East CFO Alliance, which is the largest CFO group in Middle East, as well as started the CFO Academy lately, from which I'm doing some coaching works and training work for the people like you. And my blog site is saleemsufi.com. If you have a chance to just go and find out my several blogs, which will explain you my contents of the coaching for CFO leadership. And finally, I'm based in New Jersey, USA. So I'm not working in New Jersey only. I'm working all around the world, but this is the luxury of the current technology that you can work anywhere. So I'm working in all over the world by sitting in here in New Jersey. Okay, so in the first part, we'll try to cover the fundamental changes which are taking place in the talent market. And as I said, you could call it a job market, but I prefer to call it the talent market, because we are the professionals like you and me. We are in the talent business. We are in the business of selling our talent. That's a mindset we need to establish and think like an entrepreneur. So I will explain you what you need to do. So in the talent market, the first fundamental thing which is happening is that businesses are becoming a lot more efficient and productive. So think back the global economic or financial crisis 2009, 2010, mainly in the financial industry. People thought that's a temporary crisis and things would recover, and things did recover. People lost thousands and thousands of jobs in those sectors and other industries, and people were expecting that things would get better and jobs will come back. Well, financial industry in particular did get better, did recover, but all the jobs did not come back. Why? Obvious. Businesses have learned to do more with less. Why would they hire more people? And investors were very happy. And this is a continuing process for businesses to improve productivity and efficiency. So they are trying to do more with less, although the businesses are growing much faster, better, but they are not hiring many people, and they're trying to do more with less. So that's number one fundamental trend which is happening right now and will continue to happen. Number two, because of the efficiency and productivity of the businesses, demand has shrunk a little bit. At the same time, supply has really increased. And why supply has increased? There is a lot of awareness of really getting educated. So young people, fresh graduates, they are really learning more and more, and they are getting more degrees and certifications, especially in the finance profession. You will see that there is a lot more qualified professional accountants nowadays. On top of it, all these accounting bodies or the institutions which provide these certifications, they have also a little bit commercialized in their approach. So they are promoting their certifications to develop and grow their revenues. So the result of this is that there is an oversupply of talent right now. In every sector, by the way, in all professions, there is an oversupply, but especially in finance sector, finance profession, there is an oversupply of qualified, certified professional accountants. So consequence of this, the third factor is that professionals have become a commodity. And employers are smart, businesses are smart, they know it very well. So they are treating them like a commodity. So which means their level of loyalty with their employees have significantly reduced. And that is why you see there is a lot of hiring, firing going on. In fact, that has become the favorite activity for most corporations, because they don't concern. If they lose someone very talented, they could find 10 people line up for that particular role, and probably 5 of them would be better than the incumbent. So it has really become a commodity. Experts are saying, now, just to give you the context, my father worked for the same company for 40 years, all of his life. And probably your father or forefather also worked like that. That's history. That's not going to happen. Experts are predicting that for the current professionals, especially the young people, at least 10, they should expect at least 10 to 12 changes in their career lifetime. 10 to 12 changes. No matter whether you are happily employed, you are satisfied, your job, your company is doing very well. But this is the reality. A statistical reality is that there will be 10 to 12 job changes. So the question is that when should you start preparing for it? And the answer is that it's always when you are satisfied with your current employer, current job. And I'll explain you a little bit more on that. So with these three trends, there is a lot of pressure on the candidates seeking job opportunities. And employers and recruiters and prospective business companies who are looking for candidates are getting overwhelmed with the supply of talent. And this is driving the fundamental change in the practices, how the people are recruited and hired. So many of you already know with your situation or observing other people that CVs are not working anymore. You can keep sending CVs, and I know many people who are sending CVs for 2 years and they have not been able to get a single interview, single response. But at the same time, I mean, it's not all bad. That's the purpose of this webinar. I wanted to show you the hidden things which many people don't see that. It's not all bad. There is good news. And the good news is that, yes, that's true. few jobs are being posted, few jobs are visible, but there is a hidden job market because employers and recruiters are overwhelmed with the response from candidates. They're not posting, they're not advertising jobs. There are very few jobs on the surface, but there is still good volume of jobs available in the marketplace. So with these 5 trends, what is happening? Most finance professionals, or all professionals I would say, under the pressure of job security. Fear of job security is really real. It's real in all corporate environments. As I said, the reasons are obvious. The 5 reasons: the demand and supply balance, and the professional becoming commodity, and oversupply of talent has create pressure for employers to not really hesitate to hire and fire even talented people. So there is always a pressure. Even if you are doing well, your job is stable, but there is always a fear of job security. And it may not be, most situations, it's not your fault. Downsize, upsize, wrong size, right size, whatever you call it, it may happen tomorrow. Your company is acquired by another company, and of course they are going to reduce or eliminate many jobs in that case. So that's very, very real. Now, what is the solution then? Solution is that you need to do something about it. But unfortunately, especially in the finance profession, most people are really trapped in their jobs. Now, finance is always overburdened, overworked profession. It's very difficult to find time to do any extra activity because this is all new. People did not believe, even a lot of people even today don't believe that they have to really do proactive career management. They are just left their mercy of their future career in the hands of their employers. So time is one issue, but more important, the bigger issue is really a mindset. As I said, people don't believe that they have to do proactively these things. They think, I have a job, I'm satisfied, I'm getting good salary, I don't need to worry about these things. Then as I said, statistically, experts are saying that there would be 10 to 12 job changes during an average career lifetime. So it really requires a paradigm shift. And this is what my purpose is, to help you understand what is happening in the job market, not only that part, but also what you can do to grow your career even this challenging times. So here is a good news. As I said earlier, there is a blue ocean of job opportunities which are not visible. Blue ocean is never visible. What is visible, you see every day, is the red ocean, firefighting going on. People are applying for the jobs, not getting job opportunities, not getting interviews. People are being fired. This is what we see and hear every day. What we don't see is that there are a lot of opportunities companies are trying to recruit people for. And I'll give you some factual evidence. Few months ago, Fortune magazine came up with a research and survey showing, they actually do this survey regularly about the top best companies to work for, 100 top companies. And they basically provided the numbers. And the numbers were, now you can see on your screen, I hope, these are the top companies. And these are the companies where you and I could work, right? And look at the number of opportunities here. Why these openings are there? Because these companies cannot find the right people. If there is an oversupply of talent, they should be able to recruit people very quickly. But they are not looking for ordinary people. They are looking for talented people. And all the oversupply is not about the talented people. So these are the blue ocean opportunities we need to find. Now, you may very well qualify for these positions, but you probably do not have access to these openings. And this is what we are going to talk about. How could you use your personal brand to reach and access these type of opportunities? So don't become part of the crowd, differentiate yourself, and you will see that opportunities are coming your way. Recently, as I mentioned, that we have recently started a CFO coaching club. In that club, there is an inner circle, a group of few people. I provide my personal coaching and we bring experts from outside. So recently, last week actually, we brought Wasim Karkabi, who is the head of Stanton Chase. Now, Stanton Chase is one of the top 10 global search recruiting firm. And he's the head of Middle East operations there for 20 years. And he knows the market very well. He is one of the very successful executive recruiter. And he told me, when I was asking him questions, I asked him, people have difficulty finding jobs. And he said, companies have difficulty finding right people. So it's a mismatch problem. Companies have a lot of jobs. This is exactly according to his statement. Companies have a lot of jobs. He said, we are very busy, but we cannot find the right people. So the challenge is, how do you fit into the right people? If you become a right candidate for these companies, you have a lot of jobs opportunities available. And in the next slide, I'm going to share some of the revelations which Wasim really shared with us, with the group, which is very fascinating actually. So you need to understand how the search process works for senior roles in finance or in any other discipline. Whether you're looking for a job or not, proactive career management is part of your life management, because whether you're looking for a job right now or later, you need to think about these things and you need to be aware of it, and you need to especially keep working on your brand for the future opportunities, even if you plan to make a change in 2 to 3 years time. So number one fact is that most hiring organizations have difficulty finding right people. And especially all large companies, the companies with a size of 500 million to 1 billion and plus, they always have several openings available. Always, always, always. That's a reality. But the truth is, and this is confirmed by Wasim Karkabi, that many good organizations have difficulty finding right people. Number one. Now, quite a big chunk of those openings is highly confidential, and they are not only not posted or advertised, they are kept very confidential and secretive. And what the reason is, as I mentioned earlier, businesses are becoming a lot more productive and efficient. They have a lot of pressure from investors to do better, and to do better, to do more with less, they need highly competent people. They cannot accomplish more with less people who are unqualified or less capable. They need highly capable, highly talented people. So what is happening with these 1/3 openings, that there is already incumbent people working and these companies want to replace them. This is a very common phenomena which is not talked about in the recruitment industry or in the general circles, because these things are not revealed at all. But 1/3 of the positions or the openings available are related to these type of posts. And you may very well qualify for those type of posts. In fact, in last 12 years of my career, 2 positions I acquired were for these type of roles, where there were already some incumbents working, but the business or company was not happy with them. They wanted to replace them. According to the search industry, according to the executive recruiters and also the many employers, the best candidates are those who are not looking for jobs. And there is some truth in it, because in their opinion, if you're already looking for jobs, something is wrong, which may not be true in all cases, but this is the general understanding, general idea. And according to this executive recruiter, when they find an assignment from a client for a senior role, where do they look for candidate? They don't look for the people who are sending resumes and CVs every day. They go to the companies, target companies, where there are people who are happily doing their jobs, not looking for any change in the short or near-term future, and they approach them proactively and they talk them, and many of them, when they look at the new opportunity, they agree to consider that. Again, back to my career, I also have several jobs like recruiters calling me unsolicitedly. I never applied for those positions, but they call and they discuss an opportunity and it ended up getting an offer. So if you are happily employed in a position, you're working very well, you're happy with your employer, you're getting good salary, this is the time to consider. Now, I'm not suggesting that you change the job, but at least consider, open up your mind, keep your eyes open, and maybe some very fantastic opportunity come your way, because companies are looking people like you. So it's not about the traditional qualifications like education, you are an ACCA or CMA or CPA or chartered accountant and you have 10, 15 years experience, because this is given. This is given. Companies expect that if you apply for a senior role, you are qualified, you are experienced, and there is a lot of people like that. They are looking something different. Take this analogy. If a restaurant advertises that we have food, that's stupid, right? Because restaurants are supposed to have food. They need to tell that they basically advertise what is special about their food. And that's exactly applicable to the talent market. Everybody has education, degrees, certifications, qualifications, and experience. What is special about you? Why the employer or the recruiter should really consider you for a role? So that's come to the branding then. So what they are looking for, the question that why there are so many people available and why the companies is still having challenge to find the right people, they are not looking for certifications or degrees or 20 years experience. They are looking for leadership and personal branding. What could you do special for them? What differentiates you from the crowd? So the question is that you would probably argue that I do have a leadership, I do have a personal brand, I do have extra talent. The question is your brand visible? Can all these top companies we are talking about can see your brand or not, or you are part of crowd? So the dilemma is many people are highly talented, many people are qualified for those jobs with the top companies, but they are not visible because their brand is not visible. And that's exactly what we are going to talk about. How to create your brand, number one, and how to make it visible so opportunities come your way, you don't chase them. So here is the dilemma, unfortunate, that most of the professionals really fall into the category of laggards. And laggards are the people who lag behind, of course, but they are the ones who are complacent, not doing much. If they get a job, then they forget about the career, only focus on job. They're not doing much proactive things. Now, let me congratulate all of you on this webinar because you are one step ahead. If you decided to come to this webinar, you are definitely separated yourself from the laggards, at least for this one step. And the ratio is, leaders are not many, by the way. Leaders are only 3 to 5%. Laggards are 95%. So you should feel happier that at least you are not into that category by simply deciding to come to this webinar, taking an initiative on you were not required, you were not asked for it. You saw something, some information from my side, and you made a decision to come to this webinar. What for? To gain some extra knowledge, to be more aware that how you should manage proactively your career. So the first question about the personal branding is who you are. Are you a laggard or are you a leader? And I think you could answer that simply because of this. You are sitting in this webinar, that at least you have decided to be a leader. Even if you're not a leader, at least you have decided, which is a good news. Okay, this is next slide. This is my favorite quote. You might have come across some other places, a very famous quote by a wise man 200 years old, 200 years ago, but more applicable in today's world. But as I said, the pace with which changes are happening, the only way to cope with the change, to survive successfully, is to increase your adaptability, which means then learn every day, learn new things and apply these things and move forward. Develop a mindset of doing things proactively rather than reactively. And if you develop that mindset, then the first step for you is to create a personal brand that stand out. Now, let me help you understand the personal branding. I think all of you are familiar with the concept of product branding. We all use all those products all the time. Rolex watches, why people pay $20,000? Because of the brand. It gives the same quality of time which a $10 watch will give, but people pay $20,000 for the brand. Why do we love Apple products? Branding. So businesses have learned a lot about branding. And why branding is necessary? Because in all sectors, all industries of the businesses, there is always an oversupply of product and services. Because of the oversupply, the businesses have to be competitive. They need to offer something better than their competitor. Only then you buy it, right? You have a lot of choices as a consumer. Now, the same business phenomena is shifting to the talent market. Now, employers have a lot of choices. Employer can avail your services, and there may be 10 other talented professionals line up for the same job you are looking for. So in those cases where the supply is higher than the demand, the best strategy is to develop a competitive advantage, something you have which other people don't offer. And this is all about personal branding. The good news is that 95% laggard would not develop a competitive advantage. So because if everyone develop a personal brand, there is no personal brand. Everybody would be branded, right? But everybody would not do that. So that becomes your opportunity to differentiate yourself from the 95% and become differentiated, talented professional. Okay, this quote from Jeff Bezos, CEO of Amazon, is the best description I have found for a brand. So brand is not really like a product branding, making marketing and advertising. It's your identity. When people talk about you, what do they have in their mind? What do they have in their words? As I said, in the later part of my career, my branding was a strategy and balance scorecard. If people have a question on balance scorecard, they would say, go to Saleem Sufi, ask him. They would ask for my coaching on a strategy. That becomes my brand. I was known for balance scorecard and a strategy. Even today, that's my brand. I'm known for balance scorecard, strategy, but also for CEO for leadership now. So that is the explanation of branding. It needs to be your identity. So a few tactics for you. If you are new in this arena, which many people are, by the way, some of you might have been advanced already in personal branding, but if you are new, few tactics to start what you need to do. Start Googling your own name, first of all. Go into the Google and search your own name and see what comes up. Maybe something comes up, maybe there is nothing. If there is nothing with your name, you have no identity in the professional world. You don't exist there. Now, my name is pretty unique, Saleem Sufi. There are not many Saleem Sufi in this world. So when I search, at least 8 out of 10 results come with my specific things like my LinkedIn profile, my Facebook profile, my speech, my video, my article, things like that. That's my brand. People, when they search me, they get my brand. If your name is very common like Ahmad or Muhammad, maybe you need to add some additional things like name of your company to make it more specific. But ideally speaking, if you're not getting 5 results out of 10, your branding is extremely weak. So this is a very simple technique you can check right now if you want to. Number 2, have you ever done a SWOT analysis? Now, many people have heard about SWOT analysis, but they have not done for themselves. And some people might have not ever heard of SWOT analysis. What is SWOT analysis? Is strengths, weaknesses, opportunities, and threats analysis. And this is a wonderful strategic tool to assess yourself. So my advice, if you have not done it, it's very simple. Just try to identify, get some quality time and try to identify your strengths, weaknesses, what are the opportunities are your way and what are the threats coming to your way. We did that in our inner circle program recently for the new group, and this is a starting point to really assess yourself, but you can do on your own if you want to. Now, if you are employed, I'm sure you must have got some performance appraisals with your employers. Now you can blame your boss that they are biased and they are not doing my appraisal, but there is always some truth in it. If there is a consistent pattern in your performance appraisal, there is some truth. So look at those performance appraisals and see what are the weaknesses, what are the strengths. Maybe your brand is already being reflected. By the way, brand is not always positive. Brand could be negative. If there are some inherent weaknesses, they must be reflecting in your personal brand. So look back at your performance appraisals for the last 3 to 5 years. What feedback are you getting on your CV? Now, CV is your marketing document. People look at that document to understand who you are. What feedback are you getting, or any feedback are you getting at all? That's also a simple check you can do. And very importantly, ask your trusted friends around you, the people who know you very well. Now, the best tool I have come across really to make an assessment like that is a 360 assessment, where we ask the peers and the seniors and the direct reports about the performance of a leader. But everybody does not have that opportunity. But you can ask in confidence the people who know you very well. Ask them about your SWOT. Ask them about your strengths and weaknesses, and you will find out. So to take some steps, initially, you could apply these tactics. These are very simple, and you can do it today or tomorrow. And you will find something out of it, definitely. Now, once you make a starting point, because as I said, everybody has a brand, good or bad, no matter they have worked on it or not, but somehow you have a reputation and you have a brand. So once you have assessed that, then the next step is to, what brand do you want? Are you happy with your existing brand? Or do you want to change it, make it better? So few tips from how to create a good brand for you. So number one, avoid being a generalist. Now, why this is important? Take an analogy that if you have a pain in your shoulder, probably you would like to go to a pain specialist doctor, not to a generalist, not to a general physician. And if you have a pain in your left shoulder, probably you would go to the expert of the left shoulder pain expert, if one exists, right? Similarly, companies are not looking for generalists. They are looking for specialists. You cannot be master of all. So the one mistake people do, they try to dump everything on your CVs in the hope that you know everything and you become a generalist, and then you become part of crowd. You are disregarded. Identify 2, 3, maybe 4 competencies where you specialize and only promote and talk about those things, and that would become a specialist. So avoid being a generalist. Like I have been CFO all of my life, but I branded myself around only strategy and balanced scorecard. Number 2, then become known for your talent. People need to know it. If Apple products exist in this world and nobody knows about them, what is good about it? Apple does a lot of marketing, brand promotion for the same reason, because you need to know it. You need to know about Rolex watches before you buy them, right? Same applicable to you, to your talent. People need to know about your talent. And so one of the challenge for finance profession is also the personal marketing or self-marketing, because we are not trained for it. And that is where people seriously struggle. They think this is a bad idea to promote yourself. Well, it's marketing, it's professional marketing. If you don't tell people about your talent, what you are specialized in, how would they know about your services and how would they use it? So this is also a mindset issue you need to overcome. Then one of the very strong attributes of a brand is a thought leadership. If you specialize in something, if you think you have an expertise about something, which means you know better than average people in this area. And if you know better than average, then you have some good ideas about it. That ideas are your thought leadership. And tell the world about your thought leadership, because that would strengthen your brand. And target to be among the top 10% in your profession. If you are a controller, try to be among the top 10% controller, or if you're a CFO, try to become among the top 10% CFOs, and so on. So as I said, that I could tell you that you are at least not in the bottom half. Simply by taking this initiative to be on this webinar, you are at least in the upper 50% of the professionals. Now, you could be 5%, I don't know. But challenge yourself to start with at least in the top 10% and then ultimately move into the 5%, which are the domain of leaders who attract opportunities, not chase opportunities. Okay, let's talk about LinkedIn. So LinkedIn is becoming extremely important for professionals like you and me. If you're not active in LinkedIn, you are missing a huge opportunity. So this is what I call, you need to invest yourself in LinkedIn. Spend time. If you have already been spending time, good. Spend a little more time. If you have not done, then find out a special time, make it a project to get into LinkedIn and invest yourself into it. Because that is the place where you'll find most opportunities for yourself. Attracting jobs and recruiters. So that's the beauty of LinkedIn. Now, in previous time, old time, when there was not much, there was no LinkedIn or there was no social media, you need to apply for a job by declaring yourself that you're applying for a job. You need to declare that you're in a job market by applying or sending a resume to any recruiter or employer. The beauty of LinkedIn is that you could be in the job market or the talent market without declaring yourself that you're a candidate. You just put your profile with your branding and people notice that and they approach you with the available opportunities. That's the beauty. I got most of my jobs like that. I never applied for those jobs, but people always contacted me with the offers and proposals, and I always considered them very seriously. So that's the beauty of LinkedIn, and LinkedIn is becoming more and more popular with recruiters and employers to find the right candidates. LinkedIn is also a beautiful place to establish your branding and your thought leadership, and I'll give you some more tips how to do that. So it's one domain which provides you all opportunities to manage your career in a very effective manner. Now in LinkedIn profile, I did another separate webinar on LinkedIn and I do special sessions for that. But very quickly, in LinkedIn, you could put anything you want. There is no limitation, technical or otherwise, only ethical limitation that you should not really lie on LinkedIn. But you could put anything you wanted. The only thing which enhances the credibility is your endorsements from other people and recommendations, because these two things come from third parties. So also work seriously on it, that you should have sufficient endorsement and recommendations from other people about your branding and your talent and your qualifications. And don't waste your time, but do structured now networking is very scary for many people. And they think, oh my God, I don't have time, but I need to do networking. I need to do conferences, meetings, meet people at the restaurants, coffee houses, etc., etc. Well, the truth is that the world is changing faster than anybody could imagine. Today, networking is a lot more easier. Now, if there is some very good conference, yeah, you should go once in a while. But simply for networking, going to the every day to the meeting and conference is a waste of time. You could do very effective structured networking sitting at your home or at your workplace, which is I call structured networking. And LinkedIn provide that. You could approach anyone, any senior executive or top executive without anyone's help directly yourself. When I started Meca CFO platform a few years ago in Dubai, I didn't know everyone. I only knew 5 people in Dubai, 5 people. And even those 5 people were the employees of the company. I was working in Riyadh, Saudi Arabia. Today, I have a network of 15,000 professionals. They're all developed through LinkedIn. Surya Subramanian is the group CFO of Emirates NBD Bank. I didn't know him at all. He didn't know me. Someone talked about him. I wanted to bring him to one of the CFO conferences as a speaker. Without anybody's help, I approached him on LinkedIn. And we contacted, he agreed, and now we know very well each other. I could reach anyone, CFO or C-level executive of any large corporation through LinkedIn. And maybe another time I could explain you the tactics or techniques, but this is all possible through LinkedIn. So LinkedIn is a fantastic tool for you to really get into to manage your career and brand proactively. Let's talk about your CV briefly. So your LinkedIn profile also works as a CV, but there are many occasions where you have to send your CV. So I'm not suggesting that you should not really send your CV at all. But the recruiters or employers don't have time to go through your entire CV. They only have 5 to 10 seconds to go through it. So that is your challenge, how to capture their attention in 10 seconds on your CV. And that is where the first page really matters. Now, when we're talking to Wasim Karkabi, the executive recruiter, who said that, look, the mistake people make is first page is cluttered with the technical details. And nobody's interested in the technical details. People are interested to see your leadership brand. So according to him, first page should be all about your brand. Very important. And again, many people will struggle how to put a brand on the first page. So after having this conversation with Wasim, I looked at my own resume, which, by the way, I'm using the same CV and resume for the last 12 years. Now, I'm not using it because I changed my profession from CFO to a coach, but I have been using for the last 10, 12 years when I was in the CFO category. It worked very well. It landed me 3 CFO jobs and a lot of interviews. The hit rate for the interview was 30%. So when Wasim said that, I looked back at my CV. Let me show you on the screen now. Okay, so I hope you see my CV on your screen. This is my CV. And I look from that point of view, that is my brand coming out of the first page only. And look at the headlines, if you could see that. My branding was, and your branding should be at the top, Global Strategic CFO. From top Fortune 500 private equity companies with experience in USA, Europe, Asia Pacific, and Middle East. That was my brief branding statement. And my longer branding statement were the 6 bullets below that. Manage complex global operations, USA, Europe, Asia. Champion Six Sigma. Significant B2B, B2C experience. Strategy expert. Conducted corporate leadership trainings. Manage large global teams. All things are reflecting my brand. And after that branding statement, I gave a snapshot of my career overview. So let me scroll the document. So in one snapshot, I gave my entire 25-year career. Because people don't read your resume or CV. Keep in mind, they only glance through it. They don't have a time to go through line by line reading your CV. They look at it, and whatever comes in their mind by looking at it, that is what you capture their attention through. So in this table, my technique was to ensure that when they glance through my CV, several things come up, which was basically part of my brand. So in one snapshot, in one bird eye view, they look at my whole career history. And what comes? Global. I worked in Hong Kong, Singapore. I worked in New Jersey. I worked in Middle East. I worked in Saudi Arabia. And which position? CFO, Chief Financial Officer, Divisional CFO, Business Controller, Regional. And the companies, top companies, Philips, Precision Castparts, which is for Fortune 500, AG Electronic, Private Equity, things like that. So in a snapshot, my branding comes. And finally, again, a very brief summary about my education, my MBA Finance, my CMA, and my executive education at Harvard. Harvard has also become part of my brand. So notice that on the first page, my branding is very visible. Now my whole resume was 4 pages. So you see all the details on the second, third, and fourth pages of the details, but not on the first. First page was designed to only capture the attention. And I did not think from a branding point of view, but after talking to Wasim, when I looked back, I said, wow, I already did a fantastic job putting my brand on my first page. That was the reason it worked very well with the recruiters and the employers. So this is what you should do. Ensure that your brand is reflected on the first page of your CV. Let me go back. And talk about your achievement, by the way, not responsibilities. What was your, nobody is interested what your positions and roles and responsibilities were, but your achievement. And achievement you could show even you don't have a responsibility for it. You must have done a lot of good work. Find out, identify that, and put your achievement. That is what the employers and recruiters are interested. Now, keep in mind, the purpose of the CV is not to get a job, only get interview. Because people make a mistake to put and dump everything on the CV in the hope that they are not missing anything. Big mistake. You need to create enough interest and attention from the employer point of view to call you for an interview, because that is the place to tell all the details. So don't get overwhelmed putting everything on the CV. This is one of the fundamental, most common mistake I see, dumping everything, making it so crowded that people even don't want to read that CV at all. Okay, so nowadays, as I said, the world is getting a lot more noisy and crowded and cluttered. Just ensure your time is very precious. Just ensure that you're spending your time at the right place. Social media is becoming very challenging. Invest yourself in LinkedIn. From a career point of view, LinkedIn is your place. Don't worry about anything else. Don't worry about anything else. If you don't have time, cut short your time on the Facebook. I know Facebook is very addictive. Everybody is spending a lot of time on Facebook. Find out time, because that's a waste of time. Find out time from Facebook, shift to LinkedIn and invest in LinkedIn only. So more about LinkedIn. So in this slide, I'm going to tell you a few tips to promote your brand on LinkedIn, how to do that. So first of all, grow up your connections, first level connections. If you have less than 500, you are not considered a good networker. And LinkedIn will tell the exact number. If it is less than 500, they will tell you whether you have 20 connections or 100 or 150. Even if you have 450, it's less than 500. So try to cross them beyond 500, and LinkedIn would show 500 plus. That's your objective should be. Because with 500 plus, nobody knows whether it's 501 or 5,000. I have 15,000 connections. So if it is less than 500, people don't consider you as a good networker. That should be your first objective. But also, connections are not waste of time. The more connections you have, it gives you more visibility. Because the way LinkedIn works, it gives you access to the connections and their connections, second level and third level connections. So your network is considered your first level connection and second and third level connections. That gives me access to, I think in my case with 15,000 connections, access to 7 million people on LinkedIn, 7 million, which means that today if I need to find someone in certain areas, I search and I would find someone. And if I'm able to find someone, I could always reach them through the techniques I know. So connections is one thing to focus upon. Join groups. Groups are also very powerful. Now LinkedIn allows you to join 100 groups. It was earlier limit 50, but today you can join 100 groups, and groups give you the capability. Many people don't know that. If you are in the same group, you can send a message to another person in the group, even if that person is the group CFO of a large corporation, which is not available through the second level connection. So you could send direct communication to your first level connection, but also if you're part of the same group, you can send direct messages to the people who are in the same group. So join groups, very useful. And it gives you again more visibility and more promotion on the web, on the LinkedIn. Now, if you are on LinkedIn, then just don't sit idle. You need to network. Like if you go to a conference or your meeting, and if you are sitting in a corner, nobody knows you. You wasted your time. Similarly, if you have a very good profile on the LinkedIn and you're sitting in a corner, not really doing anything actively, nobody knows you. So the way to network on LinkedIn is be active. Like other people's comments and questions and updates. Like them. It's just one click. Very easy, right? If possible, make comments. All people read the comments on their post. Even the celebrity level influencers on LinkedIn read the comments. You make yourself visible to them. Make comments on and post updates. If you don't have much, just share it. Take another one person post and just share it on your page, and that would give you visibility. Very easy, right? Additionally, try to post pictures and videos on your page. Now, not your wedding video, but if you have made a presentation or your speech, make that, because that would enhance your professional image. Put some pictures, professional pictures on your profile. And if possible, write articles, write blogs on the LinkedIn. LinkedIn is a fantastic place. I have written a lot of blogs on LinkedIn, which gives me a lot of access and credibility in my thought leadership. So, as I said, LinkedIn is a fantastic place to promote your brand. Now, finally, part 4, how to stand out in a crowded and oversupplied market. So if you have worked on your brand and you think that your brand is really something to be valued upon, then how should you stand out? So this is my strategy template for the career breakthrough. And some of you might have seen that in my other presentations, but this is very, very important, very crucial to keep from a career management point of view. There are 4 areas: our inner game, mindset, our outer game, which is our brand, what you offer, your marketing, and how you offer your product or service. Very important. As I said, think like an entrepreneur. You are in the talent business to sell, and keep selling, because if you don't sell, you would be out of job. So inner game is what currently you need to take a challenge to shift from an old paradigm to a new paradigm. So starting with the inner game, what is that? Fear of job security. That's what we all worry about. All the time we are thinking about our jobs, right? Well, entrepreneurs don't have any jobs. They have to earn jobs every day, but they don't have the fear of job security every day on their mind. So you need to train yourself to think differently. Accept that it's okay to lose job if it happens. I hope it doesn't, but if it happens, it's okay. If you're talented, you will attract other. If you're talented and marketable, you will get another opportunity, probably better. Your brand, which is your outer game, is always for finance professional. I'm a financial expert. I'm an accounting expert. I have ACCA, CMA, CPA, CA with 20 years experience. Well, nobody cares, because that's a commodity. They are looking for your branding around business knowledge, business acumen, and strategic leadership. What you offer, your product services, again, your education and experience. Well, people are looking for your skills and your talents and your achievement, not only education and experience. The top companies are hiring more and more non-graduates, non-college graduates, because they said, what do we do with your degrees if you cannot do the job? They prefer people who could do the job better, even if they have college degrees or not. And finally, our marketing tool traditionally has been our CV and resumes all the time. And with this is, by the way, 95% people are still doing the same thing, sending tons of resumes and CV every day, chasing jobs and not getting any results because it's not working. The market has changed entirely. What you need to do from a marketing, personal marketing or self-marketing point of view, you need to ensure your visibility. First of all, you have a good brand, and then ensure that brand is known to the world. So as I said, your online presence, LinkedIn especially, if you ensure that your brand is visible on the LinkedIn, you would be doing a good job and you would start to see some opportunities coming your way. So this career breakthrough strategy is critical key to change your paradigm from the old paradigm to the new paradigm. Okay, so here is your opportunity after all this good and bad news. Opportunities, which is bad for other people but good for you, most laggards would remain laggards. They would not move because everybody cannot and will not become leaders. But if you take the initiative to go into the 5%, you are part of the 5%. You have a competitive advantage. which other 95% do not have. So this is a bad news for the 95% laggard. I hope you are not part of that. But good news for the 5% leaders who are willing to proactively take initiative to manage their brand and leadership. So when you move into the leadership arena, as I said, you develop a competitive advantage, and this is the common well-established business philosophy to outperform their competitors. You have to do the same thing. And when you rebrand yourself with competitive advantage as a strategic finance leader, you would see that you're not chasing jobs, but those opportunities are coming your way. As I said, that most good companies, top companies, have challenge finding right people. And this is what this executive recruiter told me. He said, every day, first thing in the morning, he sit on the LinkedIn and he search for the top candidates. Are you one of the top candidates? Are you visible to people like him? If your profile is not branded, you're missed. Even if you have the talent, you're completely missed out. So you don't have to apply for those jobs, but you need to be visible to the world. You need to have a strong brand coming out of the LinkedIn profile. When people search, you come up in the search. If, as I mentioned earlier, that whether you are looking for a job or not, whether you are looking for a career change or you are happily employed, time is now. Time is now. The best time is to look for another opportunity is when you are happily satisfied with your current employer. But things would change. Keep assured, things would change. It's only a matter of time. Especially in the branding, if you think you have to do some work, time is now, because branding would take some time. So before it's too late, start working on the branding. Now, what I did from my side, I mean, having the advantage of being the founder of Meca CFO Alliance, and we also started with CFO Academy, is to coming up with a solution of this problem. And I created this framework, which you are seeing on your screen. I call it CFO Leadership Competency Model. And this covers basically what is really required. So branding is definitely one of the important things, but it's not only branding. It's about your leadership. And the strategic document I showed you about the paradigm shift, you see there are inner game, outer game. You need to work on it. So what you see under personal leadership here is basically your inner game. You need to set up inner game by having correct mindset. Work-life integration, very important. Peak performance. We are all loaded with the work, but we never go to any productivity training. Emotional intelligence help us establish long-lasting, strong relationships, personal branding. That's our inner game we need to work on. Then our outer game related to when we start interacting with the world, our presentation skills, our leadership, our relationship management, our finance business partnering, service orientation. And finally, strategic leadership is about your deliverable, because business needs value from you. How do you create value? By your strategic thinking, by understanding the performance management of your company, by creating value for your business. So this is a model which basically covers all the things which are really required to take you to the top. And I have been using this model, helping people to train and develop themselves now for the 3rd year. And it's working very well. Close to 200 people we have trained into it who are doing very well. And this is the framework I have not been able to find anywhere else. And I'm sitting in America, I did a research. Nobody's offering these type of the training or educational opportunities, which are really need of time. I mean, you could go and do another executive MBA, but do people have time for it? Do people have money for it? So here is the learning curve, learning paradigm. You see the 4 levels of awareness on the slide, box 1, box 2, box 3, and box 4. It's across 2 dimensions, consciousness and competency. So usually in the box 1, babies start as a human being. They are not aware. They don't know what they don't know. And as they started to go to elementary and high school, they started to move into box 2. So they are aware, they are conscious, they need to learn something. And when they are actively learning in college and university, they're in the box 3. And finally, they start their job. The best analogy of this learning matrix is, think of driving. When you were a young child, you didn't care about driving. You even didn't know what driving is when you were a very young, 3-4 years old. But as you grew, you started to learn what driving is, and you develop your interest. You were in box 2, conscious that you need to learn driving someday, and you were in box 3, actively learning driving. Holding the steering wheel with both hands, that was box 3, conscious competence. You develop, you learn it. But then soon you were in box 4, mastery level, where you were not only driving, but you are talking, you are chatting, and maybe you were texting, which you should not. That's a mastery level. Now that cycle happens with all learnings, whether it's swimming or bicycling or driving or learning a music instrument, you go through the same path. In business and leadership, we also go through the same path. As I said, that you start with box 1 as a baby, but unfortunately there are many matured adults who are in box 1, and these are mostly laggards who don't know what they don't know. They don't want to know anything. They just want to live with their own fool's paradise, and they would remain in box 1. Again, I'm happy that you guys sitting on this webinar are in box 2 or already box 3. You are aware of a need. You are aware of your conscious level is very high, that you need to learn something. So you are here listening to this webinar, and maybe you're already working in box 3, but your goal should be go to box 4. And so learning is a continuous process. I mean, look at the top leaders, successful top leaders who are in box 4, and how comfortably they are doing their job. They're not stressed out. They don't have any time management issues. So this quote is from Jim Rohn, who is one of my mentors. He said long time ago, formal education will make you a living, self-education will make you a fortune. Formal education is also necessary. We have to do our degrees and certificates, but after that, that becomes less important. To keep successful, to keep surviving, to keep progressing, developing in our careers is really self-education, which is far more easier, by the way, because you don't have to really go to the college and universities and spend money and time on it. You could do on your own. So 3 methodologies for self-education. You could go to the training classes. A lot of people do that. That's probably the most common way of learning for the on-the-job professionals. You go to a training or seminar or workshop, or you could have a mentor, which is very difficult to find in today's time, or you could have a coach available who coaches you on the skills which you require to develop very fast. Now, I have been doing corporate trainings for more than 20 years, and I have done a lot of trainings also, public trainings in USA and Pakistan and Middle East and Saudi Arabia and UAE. Traditional trainings are not working anymore, especially in the leadership arena. And this is what I learned from Daniel Goleman. Daniel Goleman is the living legend on emotional intelligence. He said that, look, in the typical traditional training like classroom training, you can learn technical stuff very quickly. For example, if you have to learn an operating manual, I think you could all just spend few minutes and you could learn it very well. If you have to learn from a map directions to go to a new place, we learn it very quickly, right? So that works very well. So that is why the technical workshops like IFRS and financial planning and process and budgeting works very well. When it comes to the leadership, it's a different arena. And according to him, these learnings are related to changing and developing new habits. And it doesn't happen in the short term. It requires a longer period of time. It requires your sustainability. So even if you go to a 3 to 5 day workshop, assuming that it's a lot of time to learn and develop new habits, you get there, you definitely get a lot of good information. You get very excited, and you come excited with few manuals and literature and copies and brochures and whatnot. And in few weeks, you put them on shelf, and in few weeks, you started to forget about them. And 4 to 6 weeks, you are back to where you started. What did you learn? nothing. So I realized that. And so I was constantly searching for methods where the effective methodology where people could spend less time, less money, and learn more. And I ended up finding coaching. And that is why I started this coaching programs lately, which have been working very well, by the way. And I'm not doing many classroom trainings, by the way. As I said, I've been doing for more than 20 years, but it's not for me to just do the trainings. I need to see results. When I train and coach people, I need to see their success. That's my reward is. And if it is not working, then it's not working for me. So what we did from the Meca CFO Academy lately, 2 or 3 years ago, I started this program, what it takes to become a CFO. This question came through a survey with 200 people answering, finance professionals mainly. That what is their top question on their mind? And they said, what it takes to become a CFO. And I took a challenge. I said, okay, I'll try to find an answer for you. And that is how I came up with this framework, CFO Competency Leadership Framework. And I introduced a program. This program was 12-week coaching program online. So I could do it from my place. People don't have to leave their place. We usually did on the evenings or weekend. And for 12 weeks, we went through competency by competency by competency. And it worked very well. I could tell you, this program has the contents of equivalent to a 3-day program. So 12 weeks, every week we set for 90 minutes. I realized that people were very hungry. People were learning faster than they would learn in a 3-day workshop. I need to add 60% more contents into this program, honestly, in the first batch. And then it worked very well. So we have been doing for more than 2 years. More than 200 people have been trained into it. That was my first effort to really help people to learn this new self-education. Last year, I introduced a CFO Mastermind program. You might have heard about it. It's a very intensive, very senior level, 12-month leadership program. And the first batch, I got very talented people. I think the group was 14 people. And we have 8 CFOs in that program. As I said, this was very intensive. We had some in-person workshops in Dubai. I have a lot of one-on-one session, etc. The group is doing very well. I introduced a second group early this year, and that was filled very quickly to this program. But what I realized that despite these 2 programs, there is a lot of thirst and hungry. People are hungry to learning these type of things, but somehow they are not able to really join these programs. And what we did, the fee we charge for this program, what it takes to become 12-week was $960, which I think a reasonable price for the value they were getting. Mastermind, where I spend a lot of time myself for 1 year with these people, they paid $5,000 and they're happy to pay it. Now, I understand that for majority of the finance professionals who are in need of these type of content, probably these prices are still high. And again, I was thinking constantly, and recently I came up with another idea. So I created this CFO Coaching Club. And in CFO Coaching Club, my idea was to engage as many people as possible with a very reasonable price people could afford. Even people who don't have to think about it. So that is also called CFO Coaching Club Inner Circle. By the way, I created a CFO Coaching Club LinkedIn group. Anybody could join. So if you are a senior level finance professional, you could send a request and you will be into it. There is already more than 1,500 people, 1,500 senior finance professionals from all over the world already joined that group. In that group, I go every day and answer questions, make comments. So we are there as a professional networking community. So back to the CFO Coaching Club Inner Circle program, what I decided or designed to help more people, that now we are doing 3 coaching sessions in this program. 3 coaching sessions every month directly with me. 1 session is expert session. We start with the second week of the month and do a 90-minute coaching session online on a certain topic like personal branding and emotional intelligence. And the next week, which is the 3rd week of the month, we do a Q&A session. So now people get time in between the 2 sessions. So they get a lot of coaching from me for 90 minutes. And these are all practical tips, by the way. Whatever you learn, you could apply the next day. That's the idea. All of you are at the working place. You apply that and more questions come in your mind. You keep sending your question, and the next week for again 90 minutes, we address those questions and we try to explain the practical difficulties and challenges. Finally, in the fourth week, we bring a high-level expert. So we brought this Wasim Karkabi, executive recruiter, last time. And this month, I plan to bring a senior-level CFO to talk about the practicalities. What really takes to become a CFO? What are the hurdles and challenges? How they become that level of CFO? So that's, again, a very useful talk in the fourth week. And all sessions are online live in the evening. We do it normally 9 p.m., so you don't have to go anywhere, leave your place. And you could do from the privacy. So many people are not comfortable to really go and sit with other people learning leadership or CFO leadership. So you could do from the privacy of your home. And one leadership we cover every month. So all sessions are recorded, which means that even if you miss any session, then we try to provide the same recording on the same day. It's audio visual. You get also the copy of the slides, PDF, and you keep access to the session, so you could review yourself again, or you could, if you miss a session, you could watch it with the same contents and quality of audio-visual on the same day or later when you have time. So compared to the pricing I set for CFO coaching or mastermind, I decided to put a very reasonable price, which was at $97 per month. I thought this is good enough. This is reasonable enough for this level of program because I'm giving the same contents, except that I do less in-person one-on-one, but as far as the contents are concerned, I'm teaching you the same thing which I'm teaching in the mastermind. But then I decided that I'm starting the program. I really need to have more people coming happily and not really thinking too much about the price or the enrollment decision, but jump on the learning and develop themselves. So I offered a $50 discount, which I'm offering right now also. So net price reduced only $47 per month. I think this is not a brainer for most people, I hope. And with this, you get 3 sessions, which means 4 to 5 hours coaching directly with me and a lot of content through the slides as well. And also it's flexible. So you're not binding yourself for 1 year. Now, normally the program goes 1 year. But you're not binding. If it doesn't work for you, you think the stuff is not good or you don't have time for it, you could cancel anytime. I mean, trying for 1 month for $47 probably is not a bad deal. So at least you will experience yourself. And this will give you full access to all sessions recording and PDF files. So every session you do, it remains available to you. People are joining from Australia, from USA, from Europe, from Middle East, of course, and anywhere. So you just need a high-speed internet to connect that, and that is what's working beautifully for all people and also for me. So I love this format. And we do all sessions at 9 p.m. UAE time. I think for people in Australia or some remote places, a little challenging, so they could rely on recordings. But for most regions, this 9 p.m. UAE time is a central time. So for UAE is ideal, but even for countries like Pakistan or Saudi Arabia or Gulf countries or other places, some people, one person joined from Malaysia. So it works for most of the places. Now that's a limitation of the global conferencing, that you have to choose a time which works for most people, but this is what we are trying to do. So that's the structure we have defined right now for this program, and people are coming in good numbers. As I said, my ambition is to really help as many people. On top of it, to make the decision easier for you, I showed you my resume format. And as I said, I call it my killer CV because this is really killing results. It helped me land 3 CFO level jobs and a lot of interviews and 30% response rate. I'll give you a free template copy of my CV in Word form. So you could just use that template and put your stuff into it. That would be easier for you to develop a good CV. Then my bonus 2, if you enroll today, also give you a full copy, master file of my finance for non-finance training. Now I strongly recommend every senior finance professionals to do a finance for non-finance training themselves. Now this is one way to develop your brand overnight. You would be surprised. If you do a good job, you will see that people have a lot of respect and different thinking about your brand, that you are an expert, you are helping them, and you develop a connection with the senior level people. So I'll give you a master copy of my training, for which I've developed over several years, by the way. It has more than 150 or 200 slides, which you can use for your plan to do this training at your workplace.
Finally, this is the killer. Finally, if you enroll into this program for $47 a month only, I will sit with you for 20 to 30 minutes myself personally and go through your CV and LinkedIn profile and give you my advice, what you need to fix, what you need to improve. As I said, I was shocked by looking at some of the profiles and CVs, how simple it was to improve and people didn't realize.